Hi, happy Sunday. It's good to see you guys here today. As you can see, I have a special guest here today. Gandhi decided he wanted to join us. He had a hissy fit when he thought I was going to leave him in his cage while I came in here. Matter of fact, he climbed down off the cage and came into where I was in the kitchen getting ready and just stood there until I picked him up. So he's going to be with us at least for a while today. Also, I have to apologize. It's probably going to get noisy. Um, Dave and I received a blessing today that we don't know how to thank the people for it. Um, Neither Dave nor I have been able to get out and do landscaping work or yard work, whatever you want to call it. Hi, Lisa. It's good to see you. I'm glad you joined us. A friend of mine and his wife and another couple have come over and they are taking care of doing our yard today. And that's 4 acres of yard, so that's a huge chore. They're bringing their own equipment and they're going to do it. And we are so blessed and so thankful. Mama's in the garden. Welcome. I'm glad to see you today. Anyway, they're going to be doing some work right outside my bedroom, my window here, and it may get a little noisy, but we'll either suffer through or I'll go and we'll talk again next week. Today's subject is one that has been on my mind a lot lately, and that is downsizing or purging. How do you make the decisions, and what's the difference? Um, it's kind of a subject that's close to my heart because I am trying to do a little bit of each. Roberta Driver, hi, I'm glad to see you. Welcome. Um, we're talking about purging or downsizing. And Randy Leonard's here. Hi, good to see you too. Welcome. Um, I know some of you know that a couple of years ago I lost two of my three younger sisters. And when that happened, I ended up inheriting almost everything that they both left. Um, One of the two sisters was single and did not have any children, and she left everything to me. The other one was married, but she and her husband had only been married a few years, and so he just said, "Take everything." He didn't want to keep much of anything that had been hers. So I loaded it all up, and most of that stuff has been out in my garage, and I've been slowly going through it and trying to decide what to keep and what to pass on to other people. Lisa, hi, I'm glad to see you. Thrifty VG, welcome from Rhode Island. I'm glad to see you today. So, anyway, I've been going through all this stuff and trying to find people who might want the belongings. One of my sisters was a doll collector, and I've been trying to find people that might want their dolls and a lot of other stuff. Well, as I told y'all last week, my mom is not doing very well. She's 90. And sometime in the next 10 or 12 years, I will probably inherit quite a few things from her. And I would like to not just bring it in and add it on top of everything we already have. So I'm trying to make the decisions on what to keep, whether I'm going to just downsize what we have or whether I'm just going to purge and get rid of all kinds of stuff. And I'm having a little bit of difficulty um, figuring it out. So I want you guys to give me your best hints or suggestions on how to make these decisions. A lot of this stuff has um, emotional attachments for me. It means a lot to me, and I'm having trouble deciding how to make those decisions. Can you guys hear me? I'm not noticing much going on in the chat. Duncan 1900, it's good to see you too. Thank you for coming by. Yeah, we're talking to the people out there. If you can hear me, please, let's see. Mama's in the garden. If you don't find an object beautiful or useful, don't keep it. Yay! I'm glad. Thank you. I wasn't sure. Lisa, you sell it on Etsy? Um, I do have a lot of craft supplies. I might try to sell some of those. That's a good point. Thank you very much. I hadn't even thought about Etsy. Lisa says, read Joshua Becker's book, The Minimalist Home. I'm going to write that one down. I'm always looking for good books to help with life decisions. Thank you, Randy. I'm glad y'all can hear me. Let's see, what is it? His name is Joshua Becker. Whoops. There we go. And it is The Minimalist Home. Okay. Let's see. Anything considered a craft supply? I will definitely look into that, Lisa. I've got a ton of craft supplies. I've got probably 300 rubber stamps that I need to sell. I've got maybe 2,000 sheets, 12 by 12 sheets of scrapbooking paper, and just on and on and on. Let's see, Malika and Kez, I'm glad to see you too. Um, I'm doing much better. Thank you, Malika. Thank you for smashing the like button too. I appreciate that. Um, Thrifty Fiji, I don't do yard sales, and for two reasons. First of all, it's too hot. It's over 100 every day and has been for probably 10 or 12 days, and it doesn't look like it's going to break anytime soon. Also, um, it's work I can no longer physically do. I just can't do that. So I can't do yard sales or garage sales. I would love to. I used to do them all the time, but not anymore. Roberta says, you hear me fine and you love my bird. He's beautiful. Thank you so much. This bird has a real story. It says, it's so great to be able to get your yard. Oh, Roberta, you have no idea how wonderful it is. It is such a blessing. It's such a blessing. Even my husband was awestruck. He didn't have words to say when I told him what they said they were going to do. It's such a blessing. I cannot believe it. Malika, you like the bird too? Thank you, and thank you, Lisa. This bird his name is Gandalf, and we call him Gandhi. He is a Maui sunrise macaw. Uh, he is a hybrid of two other hybrids, and normally hybrids are sterile, so the fact that he's even alive is a true miracle. He was raised by someone who was not very knowledgeable about birds, and they kept him in a cage that was very small for him. And unfortunately, it atrophied his wings, and he will never fly. Letha Butts, it's your birthday, and happy you get to spend it with me. Oh, Letha, thank you so much for saying that, and happy birthday. My birthday is coming up next Friday, next Saturday, I believe it is. It's the 31st, whenever that is. But thank you. And Lisa Johnson, you say yesterday was your birthday. We've got a lot of August birthdays. This is awesome. Awesome. Anyway, Gandhi, before we got him, he had been living for a while with a man who was a biker. And unfortunately, that gentleman was killed in some sort of a vehicle accident. And the family did not know how to take care of Candy and didn't want to take care of him. So we were called and we agreed to take him and foster him until the bird club that my husband had been president of could find an owner for him. And he was at the time a very upset bird. He had started plucking because of all the changes in his life and the problems. He was frightened. He was a biter. He just had a lot of problems. And they brought him over to our house and they put him on. Oh, hi, hon. It's good to see you. David just got here too. They brought him over and they put him on the cage, and he took one look at me. I was standing at the door and he ran across the top of the cage and got on my shoulder and went to the other side and turned around and looked over at the people in the room from under my chin. And he was mine from that moment on. He chose me that night. Okay, let's see. Mama's in the Garden says keep important jewelry, let the rest go, and use it to bless others. Give things to charity shops, shelters, and retirement homes. Those are excellent ideas. Thank you very much. Um, yes, David says the crew is here to do the yard too, and he can't believe the generosity of our neighbors. We live in what I call a small town. There's less than 50,000 in our town, and it's very rural, and the people here are wonderful. There are so many kind, loving people here. It just is amazing. Let's see. Letha said thanks to Malika for a happy birthday wish. Malika says it's a blessing to see another birthday. Washington County News Station of Utah. Hi, welcome. I'm glad you came to the show today. I think you're new. I don't recall seeing your name before. If you're not, I'm sorry, but I don't remember seeing you before, and I'm really glad you made it. Frugal Healthy Homemaker, thank you for joining us today. David said he was told Gandhi was very difficult, and he chose me from the get-go, and it's been amazing to watch. He truly did choose me, and he has become such a delightful companion. He thinks I'm his mate. He really does. And he tries to build nests for us all the time, and he feeds me constantly. And he really does think I'm his mate. And I absolutely adore him. He really is. Mama's in the Garden. Oh, you're wishing happy birthday. Well, excuse me, did I startle you? I'm sorry. I bumped him with my hair. Happy's here. Hi, Happy. Glad you could make it. I'm so glad. Oh, Frugal Healthy. Yes, NYC Homesteader. I definitely know. Oh my goodness. Lots of birthday wishes today. Yeah, Gandhi is, oh, your oldest daughter just turned 20 on the 16th. You're still a baby. My youngest is 38. Yeah, yep. Um, anyway, Gandhi has turned into just an amazing companion bird. He wants to be on my either on my shoulder or in my lap or some with me all the time. If I'm at home, he thinks he's supposed to be with me. He loves to sit on my shoulder. He loves to be when I do laundry. He wants to stand on the washing machine. He puts his head down inside and talks and hears his voice echo inside there, and he thinks that's just wonderful. He loves the sound of his own voice. Um, he likes to play in the kitchen sink. When I'm doing dishes, I will set him down on the cabinet and he walks over and plays in the water. He just loves that. Half a year youngest is 39. Well, very good. Mine is 38. She'll be 39 in December. So we got kids about the same age. Um, David said, can I put Gandhi on the other shoulder for better light? I tried. He does not want to. That's the shoulder he normally sits on, and he's happy there. Maybe I can turn a little bit and get better. Is that any better? Maybe. I don't know. He's, him. He has his own mind and he does what he wants to. Unfortunately, he does still pluck. I think that's a nervous habit that'll never go away. His all around his neck up here has no more feathers, and under his wings and down the inside of his legs, they're all no feathers. It's naked under there. I kind of worry about it because I'm afraid it gets cold. Hathy, they do talk. All three of the birds talk, but only when they're in the mood. And they only say what they feel like saying. Although Gandhi learned a new word yesterday and he's just been having a good time with it. Yeah, that's my boy. He says, right. And he said that over and over and over again yesterday. And he loves to say peekaboo. He has a lot of other things too. But yeah, Duncan 1900, I'm working but listening. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Actually, Malika, he played with my nose. When he gives me a kiss, he actually kisses my lips with his tongue. So, yeah. Lots of bye-byes. Yes, when we get ready to leave the house, there's bye-byes and guard the house and good birds and all kinds of words like that when they were leaving. So he's just being shy today. He's, I don't know why. Maybe it's the people outside the window making the noise and doing the yard that have him a little nervous because he's not used to that kind of activity out that window. Sometimes we have cattle that go back and forth along our back fence line, and even those do it every day. They do it several times a day, and even sometimes those make him nervous. So let's see. Malika says you want a bird. Um, I would suggest, Malika, that you probably should start with a small bird, particularly if the kids are home still. Big birds like this have personalities of their own, and like David said, if you're going to own a big bird, you're going to bleed because all big birds do bite. Let's see. Haffy says, where's David hiding? His computer is in the living room, and this computer is in my craft room or studio, as I call it. So, yeah. Um, there's not enough room in here for both of them. And I like to come in here because it's quieter. So, if Malika, if you have other questions about birds, Dave is here and he is excellent. He knows way more about birds than I'll ever know. And just ask him anything. He's really good about that. Carib and Bravo are our blue and gold macaws. Where Gandhi has all these greens and other colors, the guys are blue. And where he has orange, the guys are gold. So she's gone country. Hi, welcome. I'm glad you got here today. I wondered if you're going to. Let's see. We ought to do a joint live stream together. Actually, we've thought about doing that. We've also thought about doing some of the videos together. Speaking of videos, we did a video on raw packing hamburger meat last week, and it turned out really well, we thought. And we got ready to put it up, and the sound was off. It lagged behind, or did it go over front? Anyway, it was off. And David tried and tried and tried to get it straightened out so it worked right, and it just didn't happen. And we were not comfortable with the idea of putting a video out there for you guys to see that wasn't up to our regular standards. So when I went to the grocery store on Friday, I bought another 5 pounds of hamburger meat, and sometime either today or tomorrow, we're going to redo the raw pack hamburger meat video so that y'all, hopefully this one will turn out right, and then y'all can see how to raw pack hamburger. Um, I have already got 15 pounds of hamburger in my pantry, so now I'll have 20 pounds of hamburger. But I want you guys to see how to do it. I've had an awful lot of questions on how to do it. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Haffy. I didn't realize that you even saw that. That was interesting. Blake was having some connection problems that day, and I suggested, why don't you just come on over and we'll do it from the front porch? So he came by, and it didn't take long to set up at all. And it turned out a lot better than I expected it would. And maybe now that the yard is getting cut again so that it looks decent out there, maybe we can do it if it cools off. Right now, it's too hot out there. I mean, it's almost 95 out there right now, and it's 67% humidity. So I don't think I'd want to be out there doing it. Hi, Paul. It's good to see you. Pine City Apiary got here. I'm glad to see you here. Oh, and by the way, I really enjoyed your unboxing video. That was cute. I'm glad you got the stuff too. Blake was real glad you did. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, sweetie. I got to move. I'm sliding off my chair. There. How's that? Is that better? Lisa, we thought about that, but that would have been doing a voiceover would have been way more work. It's a lot easier just to do it again. Oh my goodness, Lynx Acres, 62 degrees. That's winter here. We rarely get below that in the wintertime even. So I don't know. Let's see. Mama's in the garden. I have a quick question about jams and jellies. Does the water bath canning affect the set? Does it result in a firmer jam or jelly? Uh, as opposed to pressure canning, I've never pressure canned a jam or jelly, so I can't say that. I always use pectins, so I have a pretty good set on mine, and I always do them in the water bath. So I'm afraid I can't answer that question. Let's see. Link says that. Oh, Pine City says, let's see. I'm going crazy. She's going to use a pressure canner for this her first time that she's gone country farm. Good for you. Are you following the canning book, like the ball book or one of those, so that you're sure you're doing it? Or did your pressure canner come with a book with instructions? I always, even now, go back and review instructions and recipes to be sure I have it right. Um, yes, I agree, Duncan. She can do it. Washington Country News says it's 108 degrees here in the wintertime. Our temperature stays in the 50s and 60s. Yep, you must be in Arizona or New Mexico, Washington County. Oh, you're in Utah. I'm sorry. Wake up, Kate. Yep, it gets pretty hot in Utah too. Let's see. You're using the book that came with the canner. Well, that should be good. The only tip I can give you is be sure that you set the right amount of pressure for your altitude, and then just do it at the same time, and it works fine. Like I said, it's almost 95 here, but the 67% humidity, it is like a sauna outside. Mama's in the garden says sorry, as opposed to not canning but putting hot jam in hot jars, putting on the lid and letting it. Okay, I have seen people do that, Mama's in the garden. I've also seen them put the jars in and the lids on and turn them upside down for 10 minutes and then turn them right side up. I've never done that. I've been told by people who've done it that are older than I am that it works, but I've never tried it. Like I said, I use a commercial pectin when I make my jams and jellies, and I've never had a problem with something not setting, other than when I made my dandelion jelly, dandelion flower jelly, and that did not turn out well at all. It ended up being hard as a rock. Anna Lynn, hi, welcome. I'm glad to see you got here. That's wonderful. Lisa Johnson says you've done jam both ways and no problem with either one. I know there's also a way that you're supposed to be able to, or used to be able to do it by putting a layer of wax on it. But again, I've not done that either. So I'm not someone who knows about that at all. Mama's in the Garden says it's a standard there, but it came across water bath canning recently. Okay, well, I think I think it could be done that way. It certainly was done that way in the past, and people didn't die from it. So I'm saying go for it if you got it. Lisa Johnson says wax always molded. Oh, yeah. I guess that would happen if it's especially if there's not enough sugar in the jam or jelly. The sugars tends to keep mold down for a while, but not forever. Lynx acres, I prefer having less stuff over more. It's easier and less clutter. We're back to purging and downsizing. I agree with you, Lynx acres. And until I lost both of my sisters, we did not have nearly as much in our house, and it was a lot easier to keep clean, and it felt better. This having all of this stuff here at the house has really bothered me, and it's really bothered David, and I'll be so glad when I get the place cleaned out because it it can be overwhelming, and after a while it becomes a weight on you. Pine City says his mom used wax when he was growing up on her jams. My mom did too, and I keep wanting to remember to ask her, but I don't know if she even remembers doing that or not. I'll have to talk to her and see. Um, Malika says you've never tried canning but would love to try it. I suggest, Malika, that everyone should learn to can and dehydrate and do a lot of the things that used to be considered standard, and people don't do it anymore because we've gotten so used to having everything in the grocery store that we can just run and buy. But there are things in life that happen that stop that from happening. Loss of job, illness. Um, there are a lot of different reasons why having food in a pantry set aside is a good thing to do. And I really suggest it to everyone. That's the reason why I started my channel, was to teach people how to do this, because so few people remember or know how to do it anymore. Lisa, you've been dehydrating zucchini for 2 weeks. I would love to have some zucchini. Mine did not turn out this year at all. And I really miss zucchini. I love it. It's one of my favorite vegetables. Paul says, I made pickles and would like to do more, but things get so hectic. I agree, Paul. Life gets in the way often, but sometimes you just have to let life sit by and go ahead and do your canning. Lisa Clark says she has a chronic illness and the less stuff to take care of and clean. Yeah, yeah, I understand. It's time for me to do some purging and some downsizing. It really is. It's just too much. It's just too much. Dave said, I gave a ton of canned stuff to his sister this week. Yes. Um, I that's another thing that I do with the food in my pantry, is I use it to bless other people, particularly family, but friends and neighbors too, people that need it. That's one reason why I do the canning, is so that I can pass it on to people that need it. I've been in a place where I needed food and people passed it to me. Frugal Healthy, are you leaving? If so, take care and we'll see you next week. Leonard Koyaga, I'm glad you came. And yes, thank you. I am doing very well today. Lori Lumax. Yes, it is a hard task too, downsizing. It's not something I enjoy, but it's something I need to do, whether I enjoy it or not. Lynx Ecker says the large burners are all at the front of the stove, not at the back. I have one of each size in the front and one of each size in the back. But funny enough, only the two front burners work on my stove, so I know how that goes too. Uh, Pine City says, Kate, can you do more water bath type canning, not pressure cooking, to show us novices what we can do? You betcha. You betcha. I will start looking at what I need in my pantry, and we'll find some water bath stuff to do. Absolutely. Um, I didn't get any tomatoes this year, so I can't do anything with tomatoes, but I'll look and see what I can do. I would be glad to do that. Thank you for the suggestion, Paul. Thumbs up people. Oh yeah, we've got 19 thumbs up and 21 people watching. That's almost 100%. Way to go, guys. Hang on a minute, I'm getting thirsty. Oh, that's much better. Thank you. Ah, let's see. David says you might try a standalone double burner setup. Yes, I do like that, and it does. It's convenient too. It really is nice, because that way on the stove I can cook, and behind me I've got room for two more, and that really helps a lot. Paul said, "Thank you for showing us newbies how to do these." Oh, Paul, it is my pleasure and my passion to teach people how to do these things. It really is. I also want to do some more dehydrating. Um, my mom has a different kind of dehydrator from mine. You guys know. Oh, okay, Lori, thanks. I hope you come back. Um, most of you guys know I have a large stainless steel professional dehydrator. My mom has one of the round ones like the Nesco that a lot of people use. It has a fan on the bottom and it blows heat up through the thing. And you only get one side at a time heated, so you have to turn things over and switch trays and that sort of thing. Mine blows heat from the back, and it covers front and back, top and bottom, all at the same time. It dries, excuse me, I think it dries better, but not everybody does. I want to get moms and show people how to use both, because both can be used, both can dry. I just like mine because it's easier, and I'm lazy. ASL Harvard Homestead. Hi, welcome. I'm glad you got here today. Lisa, you dehydrated pumpkins and winter squash last year using my method. Oh, thank you very much. And yes, it really, really does use a lot less space to store that way. I got a 20-pound pumpkin in a quart jar. It was amazing. It just blew me away. Haffy says you have a Samson 9 tray quiet dehydrator. Is that a round one or a square one, Haffy? I don't recall that name at all. Links off topic, but I'm so pumped. I found a YouTube right near me, perhaps an hour away, and he's farming basically exactly the way I want to, and he does work. Oh, Links, that's wonderful news. That is great. There's nothing like having somebody there that can help you. Oh, that is so good. You learn a lot, and pass some on to us too. Pine City says that would be awesome. Ours is a bottom up as well. Okay. Well, I had for years. That's what I had. I had a round. Um, I don't remember what brand it was. I got it off the television. That's all I can tell you. And it was round and it blew from the bottom up, and I used it for years to dehydrate things. So Haffy says his is square. Is your Haffy does it have a fan at the back or on the bottom or at the top? I never know. Let's see. Pine City says I don't remember if it's round or square. Uh, Keep the wind away. It bounced again. I lost you again. Oh, you have both. Very good. Very good. Mama's Garden, you've decided you're going to give up your allotment and garden in your backyard. You know, if you can do what you need to do in your backyard, I think that is so much better than having to go somewhere else and do it. Because if it's in your yard and you're right there, you can just go and do it when you have a few minutes rather than having to set time aside and go and do it specifically then. So, Anna Lynn, this parrot's name is Gandalf, and we call him Gandhi. He's 7 years old and he is a Maui sunrise macaw. So, Lisa Johnson, I have a large square and 3 rounds. Oh my goodness, 3 rounds. That's amazing. Oh, you passed one on to your daughter. Good for you. I took my round one and gave it to a neighbor who wanted to learn how to dehydrate, and she has gone great guns. She just loves it. So, let's see. Everyone's right. His name is Gandalf, but I call him Gandhi. He's my baby. Lisa Clark, you love watching homesteader YouTube channels. You know, Lisa, I watch a lot of them too. I really do. And I really learn something new all the time. And I enjoy seeing how other people do the things that I do too. So I'm glad you watch them as well. Mama's in the garden. I can't do as much in terms of quantity, but much more in terms of time. Yes, I agree. I like um, I like having my garden right outside my door. That way, if I know it's gonna be 100 degrees that day, I can go out at 6:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning, do what I need to do, be back in an hour or an hour and a half. If I had to go somewhere else, I doubt that I would do it. I would probably just say, never mind. Oh, Dave's saying, yes, I did. I found English peas on sale not too long ago, and I got 2 huge bags of English peas. They were frozen. I brought them home, thawed them out, and put them in the dehydrator, and they just did beautifully. They dehydrated right away. That took like maybe 12 or 15 hours, and they're beautiful. And it's so easy to store them. They're in a jar on my pantry shelf. I don't have to worry about refrigeration or anything. Let's see. Malika says, you're still here. Your 3-year-old is talking. Oh, well, good for you. Families first, kiddo. Always worry with the babies first. Pine City, you've got to go. Just wanted to say hi. My son is visiting. Well, tell your son I said hi too, Paul, and thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. Haffy says, mostly do vegetables right now, but we'll be doing all kinds of things this fall and experimenting. I've been thinking about doing some jerky too. David has done jerky in the past in the oven, but the problem with having jerky at the house is we tend to eat it. And when we eat it, we gain weight because of all the salt and just a lot of eating. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do turkey jerky and use some kind of special sauce or something. I want it to be good, but I need it to be low sodium. I don't need more salt in my diet. I'm already eating too much salt as it is. Um, let's see, what else? Let me catch up on chat real quick here. Okay, I am caught up on chat. Very good. Happy, I have done onions and garlic in my dehydrator. I put it out in the garage so it doesn't smell up the house. And when I take them out of the dehydrator, they seem dry. I mean, they sound dry, they feel dry to the touch. I put them in my coffee grinder that I set aside for doing herbs and stuff and make them into a powder. And then they turn into a brick. I don't understand it. I store it in an airtight um, jar. You would think it would stay nice and soft, but it turns into a brick, and then I don't know what to do with it. Let's see, Lisa Johnson, you can make jerky from ground. You can. I didn't know that. Do you have to cook it first, or do you do it raw? That's something I'll have to try. Let me know, Lisa, please. I would be interested in doing that. Mama's in the garden. We have a lot of wild blackberries near us that are ripe, and you need to go picking soon. You know, Mama's in the garden. I planted blackberries this year, one plant, and it has gone crazy. I have it in a large, round, professional sized pot, like you use to get big trees in, and it's filling up the pot already. I mean, it's putting out canes everywhere. Fortunately, it's sitting on cement, so it won't go way down to the ground and spread that way. But it's amazing. It's just amazing how well this thing grows and how healthy it is. Lakes says, I want to find some wild apple trees and harvest them and make cider or something. Um, I was given about 20 pounds of apples, and I've tried making apple cider vinegar, and I don't do well with it. I don't really care for apple sauce all that much. So I took those apples over and blessed Daddy Curbs with them, and he started making some apple cider vinegar, and he's going to feed the rest to his livestock, which I encourage. So I'm glad he did it, and I'm glad I knew someone to give it to. Lynx Acres says there's Saskatoon trees all over. What is a Saskatoon tree? I've never even heard of that before. Lisa says no cooking, just press it into a thin patty after you seasoned it and put it on your screen as normal. You don't have to like pat the grease off halfway through or anything, Lisa. Haffy says, have I just saved whole dry garlic cloves as is, and when I need some, just grate them. That's a good thought. No, I've not tried that. I, for some reason, just felt like I was supposed to turn it into powder, but that's a great idea. Thank you, Haffy. Finite World. Good afternoon, Kate and David and friends. Hi, I'm glad to see you, Kate, that you could make it. I'm glad you joined us. Happy, talk to Karen about more grease than any other jerky. Yeah, I to talk to Karen about making apple cider vinegar. You know, Happy, I did, and we talked quite a lot. And she thinks there's something in this area in the air because not David, Blake is also having problems with the apple cider vinegar this year. We think there must be some wild um, yeast or something that's causing problems with it. So I'm not sure. Lisa, let's see. Mama's in the garden says they grow everywhere there. The blackberries and brambles, lots by the river, even at the edge of the footpath. I had a friend many years ago that had blackberries in her front garden, and they just went wild. They took over half of her front yard. So I knew not to just stick them in the ground or they'd take over. But I'm really glad they're growing. I look forward to having some fresh blackberries next year or the year after. By Night World said, Kate, try adding a couple of grains of rice, whoops, or of dried beans to my onion or garlic powder. Okay, is that like salt? You have to put something in there to keep it dry. Linksaker says, look up Saskatoon berries. They're similar to blueberries and cranberries, but a bit different. Also, Saskatoons grow on short trees or tall bushes. Cranberries and blueberries grow close to the ground. Short trees or tall bushes, that sounds good to me. You don't have to stand up. You should have seen me trying to harvest pears off my trees this year. I took a two step ladder out there and climbed up and had all kinds of trouble even at that, but I got 150 pounds of pears off two small trees, so not bad. Um, Lisa Johnson said, I'm having trouble with wild yeast or mold on my kombucha and other ferments this year. I've noticed a lot of people having trouble with that. Thrifty V says, we put rice in the salt shakers to stop it from becoming a brick. Good idea. Texas Life, you may be running late, but you made it. Welcome. I'm glad to see you. Mama's in the Garden says, my autumn raspberries in the garden are starting to fruit. Ah, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. Haffy says it acts as a desiccant to keep moisture out. I'm going to have to try that. PCS Girls, hi, welcome. I'm glad you made it here today. It's good to see you, and I'm doing beautifully. It's been a long week, but I'm doing great. Thank you. Um, Link says, Lisa Johnson, have you tried moving your kombucha to a different room? Sometimes that can make all the difference. Yeah, I'm not Lisa, but I did try moving my apple cider vinegar into the breakfast nook, and it didn't make any difference at all. It still grew black mold. So I think we just have a lot of black mold in this area. Lisa Cluck said, my parents had a fig tree that grew up so big and tall they couldn't get all the figs off the tree. Made really wonderful preserve. Lisa, I have a fig tree. It's about 2 years old and it's about a foot and a half tall. um, it had problems because we had really, really cold couple of days last winter and I lost 15 trees. I didn't lose the fig tree, but I lost some of the longer ends of the branches and had to trim it way back. So I just I'm excited that eventually it's going to grow because I love, love, love figs. But this one's not doing so well yet. Linksacre says her apple cider vinegar attempt failed too. Yeah, this is my third try. I don't think I'm going to try it again. I'm going to buy mine. Let's see. PCS Girl says, that's great. So glad you're doing well. I'm sorry I haven't been able to be here as much as I like. I started my job and have been running crazy. Well, I'm glad you got your job. That is good news. And I'm glad you were able to join us today. You come back anytime you can. You're very welcome here, and I really enjoy when you do get to come here. Lisa said, moved it to a room where I had success before, but no luck this year. Don't have the room in the kitchen, but have had success before in the sewing room. I hadn't thought about moving mine into my studio. That's where I do my sewing too. Haffy says they say to keep different fermented foods at least 3 feet apart from one another to avoid the different yeasts that each need to develop. Well, mine kept pretty far apart. They were different, totally different rooms. Mama's in the Garden said, when I was a child, we had a neighbor who had Bramley apple trees. Bramleys are the most popular cooking apple in the UK. She would call us over and give us a bag full of apples. I loved her garden. Oh, that sounds wonderful. I had a neighbor this year that blessed me with cucumbers, bell peppers, and tomatoes. She called me and asked me if I wanted some, and I said yes, and she brought a big box of each of them. So it was lovely. Linksaker says, speaking of jobs, I'm seriously thinking of starting a course on accounts, first step to home business bookkeeping. My youngest daughter is an accountant, and she loves it. She really loves it. It's a little too detail oriented for me now. Since my chemo when I had cancer 10 years ago, I can't seem to hold on to those kind of details like I used to. Lisa Johnson says, lots more rain this year and lots of crazy extra water back up in the basement. That's probably some random mold growing down there, even though I have 3 dehumidifiers running. Wow, three dehumidifiers and you're still having problems. That's crazy. Texas Life, I lost some beets and cabbage from it. Maybe it's a melody going around. I have talked to Texas Life, I've talked to an awful lot of people, especially here in this part of central Texas, and almost everybody's having problems with fermenting. Um, I think it's because we all had so much rain this past spring that molds and grew just wild and rampant, and now they haven't died off yet. So I think that's I think that is a good thought. I think you may have a point. Mama's in the garden says my grandpa used to give us a stick of raw rhubarb and a bag of sugar to dip it in. You know, I didn't know until last week you could eat raw rhubarb. That really kind of surprised me, but I'm glad to know it. PCS girls, I honestly don't even want to try apple cider vinegar because we live in Florida and it's so humid and rainy. Yep, I think you're smart. I mean, apple cider vinegar is a wonderful thing and is certainly useful, but it is so frustrating when you spend all that time working on it, watching it, and caring for it, and then it turns out wrong or bad. Lynx Acres, I'm eating some very yummy homemade waffles. My baby's acting like she wants some. She's not 6 months yet. Well, you know what, Lynx Acres? Maybe you could just give her a little piece of the waffle with nothing on it. My daughters used to love to chew on stuff like that, especially when they were teething. Happy says to Lisa Johnson, I'm thinking of starting an online master gardening course here through the University of Colorado Extension Service. Great idea, Happy. Finite World, Lisa Johnson, do you have a floor drain in your basement connected to a public sewer line? I would like to put a floor drain in the floor of our bird room. Take up the carpet, put down tile or something, and put a drain into it. So cleaning up would be so much easier. PCS girl says, Link Saver, give that baby some waffle. That's great. You'll start food very shortly. Whoops, what's the matter? You got something making you nervous there? You some noises outside that window. Oh, bothering you. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, you got a little nervous and jumpy there. When he reaches out with his wing and wraps it around my ear, I know he's nervous. That's the thing he does all the way to the vet every time we go to the vet. And he's not even afraid of the vet, but when we go out, he gets nervous and grabs hold of my ear with his wing. Let's see. Mama's in the garden. Bless her. Give her a wee bite. My youngest is almost 11 months old. Oh, I remember when my babies were young. Um, Lisa Johnson says, Fine Out World, yes, the floor drain was a sump pump to a public sewer, but when it rains too much, the public water overflows the sewer and backs up into people's basements. Oh, that would be terrible. That would be terrible. B Lady Apiary, I'm so glad you came. Hi, welcome. Okay, I'm glad you showed up anyway. And yes, please watch it afterwards as well. Such a beautiful. Oh, are you TCS girls? Are you talking about Gandhi, my bird? Thank you if you are. He is a beautiful bird. He truly is. And he's my baby. He thinks he's my mate, or I'm his mate, but I'm definitely his human. Linksaver's baby's face says, very yummy, but I don't want to swallow it. I can't tell you how many times I had to clean stuff off the front of my girls when they did that. Let's see, all three of my boys didn't even start eating whole foods until they were almost 9 months old. You know, both of my girls had teeth, had several teeth by the time they were 4 months old, and we started them eating bananas and stuff like that as quickly as they could chew. I had my oldest daughter on milk and baby cereal when she was 4 days old, and the other one not much longer after that. So I don't know. My doctor said wait until they're 6 months old to get them solid food. My mom said feed them when they're hungry. I fed them when they were hungry, and they did fine. So everybody has to do their own thing and has to raise their children the way they do it. Mine just liked food and started early. Let's see. PCS Girl says, yes, I'm talking about him. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much, PCS. I really appreciate it. He is a spoiled baby. There's no question. Hi, Abs. Good to see you. Welcome. PCS Girls, I was a bad mom. All my kids ate food by 3 months. By 1 year, they were eating full plates. Both of my daughters did too. They did too. And I didn't start them off on fruit either, or other than bananas, but they had mashed potatoes, they had mashed carrots, they had all kinds of things like that. So, yeah, I did the same thing. Lynx Acres says recommendations have changed with new information. Ah, okay. Taffy says, yep, to each his own. I agree. I really do. Finite World, here's a suggestion. Remove the cap on the drain. Put a tight-fitting PVC pipe in the drain, 3 to 4 feet tall. When the water backs up, it'll rise up in the PVC pipe. Oh, not a bad idea. Spoiled? Y'all have no idea how spoiled Candy is. That's true. That is absolutely true. Lisa says with some babies, it's a texture issue. Some go straight to solid food, chewing without teeth, and others enjoy the pureed stuff. I gave mine the pureed stuff with some lumps, so they sort of had half and half. Mama's in the Garden says my oldest daughter, who has a twin brother, used to hold peas in her cheeks like a hamster until she was about 4 years old. She didn't spit them out or swallow them. She had to, oh my goodness, she had to clean them out. Oh my goodness, that's different. I wonder what she was doing holding them there. A little knot right here, huh? Bee Lady's talking to Lynx Acres. Speaking of PVC pipe, when your children begin to read, you can make PVC pipe phones for the price of 2 small pieces. PVC pipe phones. I'm not sure what that would do, but okay. Would you explain that, Bee Lady? Is that like tin can phones we used to have, or is this really something where you can use a phone? When I worked in the Literacy Council for college during my internship, we used them to help children hear themselves read. Ah, okay. Now that makes sense. Thank you. The pipe phones allow them to whisper into it and they can hear themselves read. That would help people who have problems singing too. I know a lot of people that are told don't sing, you can't carry a tune and stuff like that. And then they learn to listen to themselves or to hear themselves, and suddenly they can sing. I was that way. When I was a kid, my parents used to say, don't sing, please don't sing. But when I became an adult, I had a choir leader who knew how to teach you to hear yourself and listen to what you were sounding like. And once I did that, then I heard me and I didn't hear the people that had recorded the song. Suddenly I could sing. So that's a cool idea. I could see how it would help people who are learning to read and people who are learning to sing. Finite World said, I'm sure there is a YouTube video on how to do that with the sump pump. Probably so. B Lady Avery says, Lynx Acres, I know your children are going to be super smart. We worked with children to increase or sharpen their literary skills. B Lady, I have an interesting, or at least I think it's interesting, anecdote about that. My youngest daughter, well, both of my daughters were very quick to learn to read. My youngest daughter was in a private school in kindergarten, and she had a teacher that was a college professor who taught in the daycare during the day so that she could teach her own son, because back then homeschooling was not allowed. It was still against the law back then. And she took her son and my daughter and one other little boy in the class. All of them were 4 at the time. And she started teaching them on the side. And we were using a curriculum called the Abeka curriculum, which is a Christian-based curriculum. And this woman took those 3, 4/5-year-olds in 1 year's time from not being able to read at all to doing, my daughter was doing 8th grade work at the end of that year. She could read, she could write, she could do math, she knew history. This woman was amazing. And she said that she felt that a lot of children had that capability, but because the public school system has to teach to the lowest ability so that everyone is included, that the children that can do it don't get the opportunity to do it. I was thrilled. I really was. She was an excellent student. She was a good speller and everything else. The only problem she had was when she finally went into public school at first grade. She, the teacher had them all on the first day of school, and they said, I want everyone who can write to write your name at the top of your piece of paper. And my daughter looked up at her and said, "Do you want me to print it or put it in cursive?" Yeah, I think that's funny, but it threw the teacher for a loop. And she, through the first 6 or 7 years of school, had behavioral problems because she was bored. They finally got gave her special duties and things to help out the teachers and did a very good job. And she became a good student after that. B lady, right. Public school teaches to the lowest denominator. I've worked to pre-K to high school and it's all the same. Yes, it is. It's a shame because there are a lot of kids who could do so much more and they just aren't challenged. Hello, Rosanna. It's good to see you. I'm glad you came. Links, you're planning to homeschool. My hat's off to you. I formed a private school of my own and homeschooled my children because that was the only way we could do it back then. It was not legal to just simply homeschool. And my kids loved it. They really did. Um, Mama's in the Garden said, my daughter's reading fluency is good, but her last report said her comprehension isn't great. That's unusual. I thought pretty much if you could read well, you comprehend. Maybe I'm wrong. I read before I went into school. I was reading when I was 5 and 6. My mom worked with me, and I loved to read. So Lisa Johnson wrote in cursive in first grade, and the teacher balled it up and threw it away and said, never do that in her class. That's a bad teacher, Lisa. That's a bad teacher. I'm sorry you had that experience. That's really a shame. Um, Lynx Acres, I was talking to B Lady. B Lady said, children who are disruptive are so caused because they can't understand the word. Actually, mine was disruptive because she was bored. She knew it already. So they let her start helping. She actually was helping to tutor in the computer labs in the junior high when she was in elementary school because they were right next to each other. And she was excellent. She was writing computer programs when she was in sixth grade or fifth grade. So they let her do it and it helped her a lot. B Lady said they stopped teaching cursive, then began again because they learned those kids cannot read. Yeah, no kidding. I couldn't believe they were going to totally stop teaching cursive. That just floored me. Let's see, Mama's in the Garden said she's on the waiting list for autism assessment. This is one of your children. I wonder if some of the issue is that she can't express what she means properly. That's possible. That is possible. Farming our backyard. Hey, I'm glad you joined us. Welcome. That is great. We've been bouncing all over the place with our subjects today. We're talking about homeschooling right now, and we were talking about downsizing and purging a few minutes ago, and talking about canning and dehydrating, all kinds of things. B Lady says her youngest son skipped from grades 5 through 8 due to daddy being working with him. Yeah. Let's see. Lisa Clark says, I heard cursive in the second grade. I learned cursive in the second grade. I don't remember when I learned cursive, Lisa. I really don't. Grammy Karen, welcome. I'm glad you made it. Oh my goodness, I just looked up and realized it's 1:59. Oh my. Well, we're going to run a little over this today, guys. I hope you don't mind. I love it when all you guys come in, and I hate to just say, sorry, we're closing up. So we'll run just a little bit over. Farming in our backyard said Nathan was homeschooled and I went to public school. Yeah, I went to public school, but my mom and dad both were teachers, so they worked with us on the side as well. Lynx Acre says, I have a ton of books in anticipation of homeschooling. My favorite is the Marshall Cavendish Illustrated Encyclopedia of World War II. Ooh, that's going to be wonderful for history. Mama's in Garden Call says, we call cursive joined up writing. That's an interesting description, but it is very accurate. Hmm. Lisa Clark, I'm a military kid, so they did things different. Yeah. David is the military was a military brat too. My dad tried to get in the military. Um, when World War II was going on, he enlisted in the Marine Corps and he had to use a friend's brother's ID because he was only 14 at the time and they wouldn't take him. By the time that the Korean conflict came along, he was old enough to join, but he had a wife and 4 children, and the military didn't want to take that either. So he tried to join but never could. So I'm not a military. Oh well, I'm sorry. Dave's going to go back to his golf. Honey, you enjoy your golf. I'll be out to join you in a little while, but I'm having too much fun here. Oh, thank you, B Lady. I appreciate that. However, we've got 26 thumbs up and 20 people watching right now. I used to not understand how that happened, but I realize now people thumbs up and then they have to leave. Well, their thumbs don't go down, they just stay up. So I'm glad. Uh, Lisa, did you move around a lot when you were growing up? I know David did. He moved back and forth all the time. And then he went into the military and had his 2 children while they were in the military. And they went all over the world. They spent time in all over Europe and Spain. And I forget where all they went. But his kids had a wonderful experience, or at least I think it was wonderful, getting to learn about all kinds of different um, cultures and ways of living. I would love to have done that. I learned about different cultures when I became an adult because I went to work at the University of Texas in Austin. And I worked in several science departments, and a lot of the kids that were working in the labs in the departments I worked in were from other countries, and they came over because the science departments at that time were some of the best in the world. Um, I met and made friends with people from every continent except Antarctica. And it was just wonderful. I loved learning about people. Uh, Farming in the backyard. Do I like golfing? I love golfing. I don't golf. The only closest to golfing I've ever come is I play putt putt badly, but I really enjoy watching it. I love watching all the people and learning about golfers. Yes, I love golf. Um, Haffy says my middle son was diagnosed with dyslexia at the age of 10, so we kept him back for a year and got him some special help. He graduated from USM at the top of his class. Haffy, I have an interesting piece of news about dyslexia. Um, I was diagnosed dyslexic when I was 25. I didn't know I was dyslexic, and I didn't know it was a problem. I had the ability, due to my dyslexia, to both read and write backwards. You can print something on a piece of glass, and I can look at it and I can read it from either side. I can look at a book upside down and read it. I can also write backwards. When I was in school, I would write things backwards, notes backwards, and pass them to my friends, and they'd have to get a mirror to read it, which I thought was cool because the teachers had to get a mirror to read it too, and they usually wouldn't do that. So I could do it and not get caught. But I didn't know that it was dyslexia. I didn't know that it was a learning disability. I thought it was a cool skill, and I had a lot of fun with it. PCS girls, I love football too. When I was growing up, every Sunday afternoon during football season, my dad and I would sit in front of the television, throw pillows at the television when the players didn't do what we wanted them to, and had a good time. We loved it. My dad didn't have sons, he had four daughters. So I always teased him and said I was the son he never had because I worked on cars with him and I watched football with him and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a football girl too. Lisa Johnson says her mom had dyslexia, and every time she did something backwards, the teacher would whack her hard with a big stick. Oh, that is such a shame. Teachers teachers that do that don't realize the problem that they're causing their students. I honestly believe if they realized what they were doing, they wouldn't do it. Happy says that's why I'm so special. Happy, thank you. I don't think I'm special at all. I think I'm very blessed, but I'm not special. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. I keep going back to these stories that we've heard today of teachers that just shouldn't do what they do. I don't know if you should say that they shouldn't be teachers, but they certainly should not treat their students the way they treat their students. Happy, I'm really glad you did get some help for your son. I'm really glad that it was successful. I've known some people that were not successful when they got help for dyslexia and for other learning disabilities. So I'm very pleased that you got some help for your son. That is wonderful. PCS Girl says you are a military family. Are you currently active duty? Um, Obviously, since David was in the military, we are a retired military family. Lisa Johnson says we're not allowed to write with our left hands unless we're from rich parents, got a good whacking. Oh, yeah, yeah. I ran into that problem. That's why I'm one of the reasons why I'm dyslexic. I can use either hand. Doesn't seem to matter. Mama's in the garden. Lisa Johnson, that's a shame. I guess it was a different world where kids were caned if they used their left hand. Yeah, yeah, it was definitely different. And I knew a lot of kids that had that experience, and I just used my right hand because I was lucky enough to be able to do that. Your husband is active duty. Which branch, PCS? Can you tell us? I mean, I'm sure you can. Do you want to? Um, B Lady says, Lisa Johnson, I have dyslexia and I graduated from college magna cum laude and grad school with honors over 3.7. Anyone who is taught correctly can excel. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, B Lady. Um, the lady said something else I agree with. Lisa Johnson, gee, I wonder what the rich had to do with it. I can tell you, but I'm not going to. PCS girls, David retired from the Air Force. It was great for him. I grew up in a Navy town. I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas. And there was no Air Force, but there was a lot of Navy. And I learned a lot about the Navy. Lisa Johnson, I had to learn to write with my right hand, but do most everything else with my left hand. And PCS is stationed at McDill. Lisa, can you write with your left hand now? Have you tried? I did writing with my left hand just because I wanted to. Of course, I didn't do it at school because I saw other kids getting in trouble, but I can do it now. Linksaker said, I like to follow Teacher Tom on methods of interacting with kids, especially toddlers. I don't know who Teacher Tom is, Linksakers. That's one I've not heard of. Let's see. B Lady, my husband was an officer in the Navy during Vietnam. Yep, that's when I was in Corpus, was during early stages of Vietnam. B Lady says, thank your husband for his service for me and also thank you for being a military wife. That life is not easy. From me as well. From me as well, PCS girls. I agree. That life is a difficult life, and we do thank him for his service. Lisa Johnson, I can write with both hands, but I've found I can do one thing with the left hand while writing with my right. I can too. And it throws people when you're sitting there doing two things at once. They look at you like you're crazy. Brad Ford. Welcome, Brad. You're new to this channel. I'm glad to see you here, unless you've got a different name that I don't know. But I'm glad you came, and please join us. PCS girls. Okay, she said, thank farming in our backyards. Thank you. I know the military life can be rough. Linksaker says, one of the things Teacher Tom is passionate about is developmentally appropriate classes and teaching. That's excellent. Haffy, are you asking when I get monetized? If you are, I still have to work on the hours. I don't have the hours yet. I got plenty of subscribers, but no hours. So that'll come when the time's ready. I'm not, I didn't get in this for the monetization. I got in it to share my passion with the people who were interested. But like Blake says, somebody's going to make money on what I do. I might as well get my share. So when I get the hours, I'll apply and see what happens. Brad, I'm glad you joined us. Thank you for joining us and being new kid on the block. Um, we really are glad to have all people here. Haffy says, I know, but every little bit helps. You are right. Every little bit does help. Linksaker says it's not just teachers these days that's the issue. A lot of teachers are completely constrained on what they're allowed to teach and how, and much of it is highly inappropriate for children. That's true. That is absolutely true, Linksakers. B Lady says those Vietnam days were something I don't think this country will go through again. We graduated high school and all the guys were drafted. Yeah, that's true. B Lady, I think you and I are probably pretty close to the same ages. PCS Girl says, I'm working in hours too. We aren't in it for the money either, but we will apply when you get to the hours. Yep, me too. How many hours are you short? I can run your playlist while I sleep. Lisa, I would appreciate that. I'm several thousand hours short. I did not understand about the hour thing, and so I didn't really work on getting my hours up. And I just found out about that last week from Blake. So if you can run them, I would appreciate it. All the hours help. Um, Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you joining us and for your friending me. That's very appreciated. She's gone country. You're off to try a pressure canner, which means good luck. You'll do fine. You've got your book. You know what you're doing. You read it. Just do what it says. You'll do great. B lady, you don't need to be afraid. If you follow the safety instructions, you will do fine, just like I do. Mama's in the garden. She's gone country farms. Good luck. Yeah, I really think you'll do great. I really do. What are you doing, Gandhi? Are you getting tired? You getting bored? Well, you are here longer than you thought you would be, aren't you? No, you're not going to get down there. No, I'm not going to let you down on there. No, we got people out there that are talking to Mama. You can't get down there and wander around on the keyboard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You cannot do that. No. Oh, look at you get all fluffy. Yes. Oh, big shake. Can you give me kisses? Kisses? Good boy. Okay, go back up. Go back up. Good boy. Let's see. PCS girls, they took my hours from me for 4 of my biggest videos. I'm having to find out why. I already messaged them. Oh, yeah. Speaking of that sort of thing, I don't know how many of you know Liz Zorab from Europe. Um, Liz was monetized and doing great guns, and she was trying to clean up her channel a little bit, and she made some mistakes, and I never did quite understand exactly how it happened, but YouTube demonetized her. They cut it off completely. They said she could continue to publish, but they were not going to pay her. And for like 8 or 9 months, she didn't get a penny. And just recently, she sent me a text to let me know that YouTube has started remonetizing her again. So I'm so thrilled for her. She's a very special person. Texas Life said, I lived in Corpus Christi at the same time. You did. I lived out in the Oso area, if that tells you anything. Let's see. What changes did she do? I'm not exactly sure, B lady. She said something about she they thought she was trying to artificially inflate the likes or something. I'm not sure exactly what she did, but they demonetized her for many months, and it was really hard for her, and I felt so bad for her. I really did. Let's see. Mama's in the garden. Loves Liz. Yes. Wales. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Yes, she is in Wales. And she has a lovely garden. I really enjoy her videos too. PCS girls know they aren't live streams. I don't even know why. Oh, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Mama's in the garden used to date someone who lived in Rockport. I visited Rockport many, many times. I don't know, bee lady. I don't know. I like I said, I never did quite understand exactly what happened. I just know that they cut off her money, and when they finally turned it back on and remonetized her, she had over 1 million views that did not earn a cent. But like she said, she was there to share her passion more than any other thing. So you just have to love her and wish her the best. That's all we could do. Farming Our Backyard says Linksacres editing is my least favorite part of having a channel. Um, Guys, I got to tell you, I am really spoiled. I've never edited a video. David does all my editing, and he does a beautiful job of it. You want to go up on the chair? There you go. You go sit on the chair for a while. Um, he just takes care of everything for me. It is so wonderful. I just dream up what I'm going to do the video on, and he even runs the camera most of the time. So the man just spoils me rotten. That's all I can tell you. He's great. I'm glad I waited 20 years to marry him. Let's see. B Lady asked PCS girls, have you read all the recent rules YouTube has for children under 18? B Lady, I haven't, but I don't have children at the home and I don't have them on my videos, so I guess I should read them just so I know, but I have not done that. PCS girls, I think one of them is because my daughter mentioned another YouTuber, but the others are just them being silly. I put them on private because I was afraid they would do something to my channel. That's not a bad idea. Lisa Johnson, I don't have a David. I have lots of hours recorded, but don't have a clue about editing. Lisa, David has a whole series of instructional videos on editing on his Armchair Educator. Um, that's his channel name, the Armchair Educator. And it's using a piece of software that's free. So you might want to go over and check that out. Diamond Willow, you made it. Yay. I have not seen you in forever. I'm so glad you got here. Oh, that's wonderful news. Yes, please write it down, Lisa. He did plain English um, instructions on how to use this piece of software, and since it is free, that makes it a lot better. Candy, are you still back there? Oh yeah, there you are. Okay. Let's see. Mama's in the Garden says there are 3 things that put me off of doing YouTube. 1, the editing. 2, not really having anything to say that's not already been said. And 3, no one will understand the accent. Mama's in the Garden, talk to me. I love accents. I really do. As far as not having anything to say, there are people in the U.S. that would love to know about life where you live, and they would all follow you. So you got things to say that haven't been said before and other people would be interested in. As far as the editing, I'll tell you the same thing. Go over to Armchair Educator and look at what he says. It's apparently pretty easy to use. I'm just spoiled. I don't have to. He takes care of it for me. Okay. PCS girls. Oh, Texas, you know exactly where that is. Then you probably know the junior high I went to. I went to Sundean Junior High, right there on Airline Drive. It was out in the country when I went there, though. Uh, B Lady says, Mama's in the Garden. YouTube folks love accents. I know I do. Lisa says, don't worry about the accent. My grandchildren watch everyone with an accent, and some are not in English either. Yep. Yep. Well, folks, it's almost 2:20. and I need to go make some ice water for the wonderful people out there cutting my yard. Looks like they've already got the back done almost completely, so I need to go make them something to cool off with. Um, Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining in, for talking. For those of you that are new, thank you for coming, joining us for the first time. I'm here every Sunday, 1 p.m. Central, and I go till at least 2, sometimes like today later. Last week we went past 2:30, so I will take you. See you all next week. Thank you again for coming, and you take care. Bye, guys.